harmonizing with nature. With over 4 decades of changing lives, your self-discovery archaeologist, get ready to be the best of you with your host, Beverly Zymet.
Hello and welcome to the Beverly Zymet Show, where being the best you has just gotten easier. My guest today is calling in from Knoxville, Tennessee, and her name is Monet Constanetta. Did I get it?
You got it right.
All right. It's been a long time since I've interviewed someone from the States. It sounds crazy. Yeah. Everybody's been calling in from the UK. I did one yesterday from Australia. They're calling in from South Africa. Yeah. Canada. It's like, whoa, I got one from the States today. It's kind of nice, you know. So Monet, what do you do out there in Tennessee?
What I do in Tennessee for business, you mean, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a feng shui consultant. I'm a speaker and an author, and I put my own twist to feng shui. And
Okay.
for those of you who don't know, is the ancient art of placement, and I became fascinated with feng shui over 20 years ago. You know, I have studied architecture and got a degree in architecture from my home country, which is Ecuador in South America. And then I moved to the United States shortly after I graduated. And so somebody introduced me to feng shui, and I became fascinated with feng shui.
It is fascinating.
One of the problems I saw is that I would go to the homes of people who had told me they have completely feng shui their place, and their place kind of looked like a Chinese restaurant or or a Chinese nail shop, you know?
Oh no.
I love the aesthetics of Chinese restaurants or nail shops, but the only places that should look like a Chinese restaurant is a Chinese restaurant. The only place that should look like a Chinese nail shop is a Chinese nail shop, right? Your home shouldn't give the impression it's a business for starters, right?
Right.
And I noticed that a lot of people were just going online and buying this and buying that and putting them in different places in their homes and expecting magic. And sometimes that kind of magic happened and sometimes it didn't. But most of the time, the result was bizarre looking spaces. And I thought to myself, you know, if you go to,
Oh
if
my
you
goodness.
look, yeah, if you look at the beautiful palaces and homes, you know, in China and Hong Kong and Japan and Singapore, there's an intrinsic beauty there.
Right.
So I realized something is getting lost in translation when we're trying to apply a feng shui in our Western homes, where people are not producing beautiful spaces. And so, because I have this training, this background in architecture, I codified feng shui, so to speak, and I realized, you know, that when somebody's not happy with their home or with their business, there's 3 kinds of problems that you encounter. And those problems can be classified in their architectural, they're coming from the way the home was built. There
Right.
could also be problems with the interior design that have to do with the decisions you and others have made regarding the color, shapes, and materials that you put on your surfaces, on your major surfaces like floors, walls, counters. And then the third type of problem is just problems that you have made in because of choices that you made in furniture or accessories or the way you're arranging them. And so I realized, first of all, the problems that you're facing when you're trying to harmonize your home, they are not all the same. You know, they have different sources.
Exactly.
And yeah, and so then I started putting together a system that I call in the 9 steps to feng shui system, where you do 3 things for every one of those problems. So 3 things you do to fix these architectural issues that you may have. For example, a very common one and so spread in the United States, especially in older homes, and some newer high-end homes, is that when you open the door, the first thing you see is the staircase.
I knew you were going to
Yeah,
say that. It's like, oh, I
yeah.
know. So many of
No
you.
matter
I
how
walk into a house and I just cringe too. It's like, oh, everything's flowing right out that door.
Yes, and as soon as you
Yeah.
open the door, you're like, oh, you need to make a decision. You know, do I go up or do I stay on the bottom floor? And then as soon as you see the staircase, it's like, it's oh, it's work. You know, so then you start associating coming home with work instead of relaxation, right? So that's the problem
Right.
with architecture because you're not going to move the staircase, right? You're not going to move the staircase or the door. So in feng shui, we have something we call feng shui cures, quote unquote, which are fixes that you can do in order to lessen the problem. So
Right.
another architectural problem would be if your house has an incomplete floor plan, for example, an L-shaped floor plan, a C-shaped floor plan. That means a part of your life areas map, because each corner in your home, each midpoint in your home represents an area of life, and there's 9. And so one of those is going to be outside, or in other words, is missing, right? So those are problems with the architecture. Long and narrow hallway is another problem. Super high ceilings, in
Yes.
real estate, so many things that they're presented in real estate as really desirable are bad feng shui. For example, those foyers that have a double and sometimes a triple height
Right.
are bad feng shui, because it's too high for the size of the foyer, right? And so those are the architectural problems, and they're the most important to correct, because they really do a number on us, in the way we relate to space and the way we relate to life. Then come the problems that have to do with interior design, and those are like what kinds of materials do you have on your floors, what kinds of colors, what's on your walls.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody can relate to sometimes going to a place, or even maybe renting a place or buying a place, where the decisions that people have made before are so at odds with your own taste, right?
Right.
I had a friend, who lived when we lived in Iowa. I had a friend who had a home that was built 30 years earlier or 40 years earlier, and she had the shag carpet,
Oh
the
gosh, I remember that stuff.
carpet,
Oh my gosh,
and it
that
was
stuff was so
horrid,
nasty.
right? And then the walls were wood paneling,
Yeah. Oh
and
God.
like for our current taste, we go in there, it's like, and you think, how could somebody ever have thought that orange shag carpet was the way to go, but there's this ebb and flow that happens with fashion in
Right.
homes, right? And things that seem so desirable for one generation are so odd for the next generation. And so the things that you do in your floors, the things that you do in your walls, and like your kitchen counters, your cabinets, all those are things with the interior design. You can change them, right? But it's not always easy to change them. For example, if you're renting a place, if you don't like the color of the carpet, you can change it. So you have
Right.
flexibility. Now you buy a place, you have the choice of saying, I'm taking out that shag carpet and putting wooden floors in, right? But
Right.
you can't always have that choice. And it also relates to the things you put on your walls, like your paintings, your photographs, the clocks. And so all these things have to do with interior design, and these have to do with decisions. And many times, these things are not easy to correct. So it's very important that you kind of have an idea of what something is going to look like,
Right.
if before you make a decision. Like, it's coming to my mind a movie, I don't know if you watched it, is Fool's Rush In. It's an old movie with
You know,
Salma Hayek and
I
the
don't
guy
know
that
if I'm not a big movie goer. That one doesn't ring a bell.
I think it's the guy is the same actor that did Chandler in the series Friends.
Oh, okay.
But it's a movie about two people, who fall in love that have nothing to do with each other. So she's comes from a Mexican family, and he's an architect. So he's decorated his house in grays and whites, like kind of like the fashion that's right now. Like most real estate listings, they're painting them gray and white and dark blue, because that's the fashion. That's what's considered chic right now. And so
Okay.
this architect has his home decorated in those colors, and he's an architect, and that's what he likes. He wants something simple, minimalistic. And when he marries this girl who has a Mexican family, one day he goes to work. When he comes back, the whole house is painted in happy Mexican colors, right?
Exactly. I was
And
gonna say I could just see this black and white house now turned into this massive flow of all these wild, bright, fluorescent colors.
yeah, and so it's like the shock, and the scene in the movie is, it kind of represents, the clash of the different cultures, where he comes from, where she comes from. But when I watched that movie, I was like, I want my home to have happy Mexican colors, because as an architect, you are also getting that you are kind of raised in the School of Architecture to
Yeah.
be minimalistic, because that's what modern architecture tends toward. So when I was going through the School of Architecture, and I imagined my dream home was beige, and it has some color accents, but it was mostly, like very subtle colors, very, very elegant. But as an adult and as an individual and as a woman with a family and children, those colors kind of kill me. When we first moved into the home where we live right now, those were the colors it had, and I bought furniture to match them. It was very elegant, very subdued colors. And then I noticed, because Tennessee has, the winters are not really bad, but they can be very cloudy.
Oh,
And so
yes.
I've gone 2 weeks without sunshine. I started
Yes.
feeling it, and then I decided, no, my house needs more color. So one of the first things we did, we got a red couch and love seat. And then, seeing those colors, I was like so much happier seeing bright colors in my home than what I had visualized would be my dream home. So one of the things I do is I encourage people to turn their current home into a dream home, because I know, because your line of work, the things that you do and the kind of people you interact with, a lot of people today, they're doing vision boards, right?
Yes, exactly.
And so, yeah, and so your home is kind of like a three-dimensional vision board. Instead of just having it on a board, you put your goals into your own home. But a common object that people put on their vision board is their dream home, you know. And most of the people that I have seen their vision boards, their dream home is a mansion,
Right.
right? And it's like a super luxurious home, and they put a super luxurious car, and they visualize this life for themselves that might not even make them happy. So I remember talking with clients and with students, and thinking, so you plan to have a few maids and a cook and a gardener, and they're like, no, why? I was like, because in order to maintain the kind of house that you have put on your wall poster, you would need a staff. Otherwise, your life would become taking care of your mansion,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And so, actually, in feng shui, the standard for happiness in feng shui is the small home full of people you love, not the huge mansion where you can hear your own echo, right?
Right.
And so it's really interesting, to see how all these things connect. The and by the method that I created, where I can actually look at a home and teach my clients and my students to look at the home with feng shui eyes, where they learn to identify, okay, which of my problems, the reasons I don't like my current home right now, which of those problems are associated with the architecture, which with the interior design, and which with furniture choices. Because sometimes, and I think we've all met that woman that asks people to move the couch,
Right.
move the couch this way, and then move the couch the other way, and then they end up putting it back where it was, with just a couple of inches to the left, maybe. Um, so many people, they make mistakes in the way they arrange their furniture, because they don't know the basic principles of arranging furniture and what it's going to take for you to actually walk into your living room, your family room, and be wowed by your own space, but not just love it aesthetically, but sit in your living room and feel that everything's good, feel safe.
Let me stop you right there for a second, because some of these
Yeah.
words, because I don't want to lose this thought, because I think it's very critical here. You mentioned feel, where you walk into that room and you feel, right? Because we have senses, the see, touch, taste, smell, hear, right? And sometimes we just don't really pay attention to them because they're so automatic, right? You have to think about it, So I want to have the audience out here, that you're listening, is to, how does it feel in your own home? You're sitting here right now listening to this, whether it's in your office or whether it's at home. Take a look around. How comfortable do you feel where you are? How comfortable do you feel when you walk in your bedroom, in your kitchen, in your bathroom, in your living room, in your dining room? How comfortable do you feel in every place of your home? Do you kind of like navigate to a certain area because it just feels better there? Right? This is what Monet is talking about, right? Is how you function unconsciously through your senses, if you feel comfortable or uncomfortable. And then if you throw a situation, into the element, that only adds fuel to the fire, because now you're not comfortable where you are and you're not comfortable with the situation that's just come up. You've created double whammy, right? So feng shui is I love it. I got introduced to feng shui, I think, like 30 some years ago, and like you, it's just like, whoa. But I also have a technique where I teach feng shui of the physical body.
You do?
I do, which is really unique. But not to take away from what you're doing here, because this is really great information. And it gives you a time to just stop for a moment and take a look at what's around you. And I really like how you said, with the 3 different areas, right? Mm-hmm. And then 3 different things that you do in those areas, and breaking it down that way, it makes it very, very simple as to what's going on, and it is so true. It's so true when you look at the architect. Again, when you look at the feng shui in the Asian countries, what did they do? Their front door opened north. So it didn't matter how these houses were sitting, the doors were all facing the north, and so they're twisted.
It's actually the opposite. Because feng shui originated in China, and so it's just like China is at the same latitude as the United States.
Oh, okay.
So, most of the sunshine actually hits you from the south, because of the location, right? And so then, if you think about it, most homes in the United States, unless if maybe you live like in the southern part of Florida, most homes in the United States have a shady north wall.
Right.
So it's the same in China, where the north wall is the cold door. So they actually would avoid having a door facing the north. They would have a door facing the south, so you can have sunny entrance. Because if you have a door towards the north, it could get moldy, it would get cold, right? So it wouldn't be a happy circumstance of coming home. And so it's actually, the south is the preferred location for a door.
Yeah, I think we're talking the same language, just a little bit different. Let me. I follow what you're saying, because that is so true. That when you stand at your front door, you're going to be looking north. That's what I meant, right? Yeah. So so when you walk out, exactly. So it's just,
we use this term, where and sometimes it's confusing because you are facing some way. Some direction, it means that you are sitting in the opposite direction.
Exactly.
The house needed to sit north and face south, but that's because weather conditions. Right?
Exactly. And then, so you use the Bagua map and everything too when you're working with that?
I use the Bagua map, but I don't use the compass directions, because that's one of the circumstances where I found when people are using the compass directions to subdivide their floor plan into the 9 life areas, they were making really strange choices of colors.
Right. Well,
really bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I use the Bagua map, but I use a biological method. So I have a mentor that practices Chinese medicine, and that mentor taught me how even the organs in our body. This is going to be really interesting for you if you look at the body. So like the organs in your body are organized in a certain manner, and each organ is associated with a life area. So the way I use the Bagua map is I align the bottom of the Bagua map with the front wall, which is the wall that contains your front entrance. And the way that the life areas are applied on the Bagua map, when you do it like that, is exactly in the way that your organs are positioned in your body, right? So it's a biological rather than an astrological or numerological way to apply the Bagua map on a floor plan. And it works much better. So the results I get, when applying the 9 steps to feng shui system, it's not just the person saying, "Oh, I found a better job," or "My husband and I get better." I get along better. It's whole life transformations. Some people have told me, "I thought I was happy before because I didn't have happiness."
Right.
So they didn't know the potential for their own happiness. And I had a couple tell me they thought they were a really good couple before, until they realized how they could be. right? And so it's because we're following this process. We're going after the structure first, the architectural problems.
Right.
Because that is what gives you security, and so that you're not afraid in your own home, right? Then we go to the interior design or decor problems, because that's what gives you harmony. When your interior design is off, there's no harmony.
Uh-huh.
And then the furniture arrangement and accessory placement, that is what gives you the power. That's what gives you empowerment, the ability to reach your goals.
Right.
And so it is by following this process that we can see complete life transformations. The things that start happening, are just so amazing and so eye-opening, because this system that I'm using is actually in alignment with other branches of ancient East Asian medicine.
Sure.
And so, yeah, and so we go for the deeper, more structural things. Then we go for the things that have to do with harmonizing life, and then we go to the empowerment. But you have to have everything in place for things to really happen.
Right.
Right. And so the first thing we look at in my system is we look at completing the floor plan. Because when you have like an irregular shaped home and you apply the Bagua map, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't have a wealth area. No wonder.
Yeah, no wonder there's no cash coming in here,
No
right?
wonder since I moved into this home, I don't seem to be able to save money. No wonder my investments are not doing well. No wonder I feel so hopeless, in
Right.
that regard, because my home is missing that area. And people have this uncanny ability to choose homes that are going to challenge their weak life areas. So it's really,
It's again. Let's capitalize on that a little bit.
yeah,
And because now you're speaking my language here.
yeah,
It Everything that you're talking about here is connected with the flow of energy, right? The chi or whatever you want to call it, but it's energy. It's the vibrational match of everything that goes on. So when you understand that from the level of the feng shui, and the same thing with the physical body, so like what you're saying and what your doctor friend was mentioning, how the body is in alignment and what runs amok. If you put your he said, if you put your body and you lay on top of your car, and you start watching what's not functioning in your car, what's not functioning in your body. Are you running around with a fender that's dinged in? So let's just say your left rear fender has because you're on top of it like this, right? Is been dinged, and you never fixed it, and you have hip areas, left hip problems, right?
yes,
Let's just say something's not working in your transmission, and the whole chain underneath the car that gets the wheels moving and everything else, right? Now you got back problems, and where the issues are. You can look at these different aspects. So in your home, so if you were to lay on your back in the center of your house, and then each one of those arenas, how does it impact what's going on with your physical body?
yeah,
It
and
will tell you where things are running amok in your house and vice versa. So we are all connected with nature and everything, and that's energy. That's energy. So like when you were just mentioning, oh, I don't have a wealth corner over here. No wonder I can't, I never had these problems before. How come I have them now? And you look at the environment that you're in. Look at your desk, and when I was studying the feng shui too, it was like you start with the home, so you have the structure, as you said, and then you have the interior and all of that, and then now let's take it down into the room that you're in. So you're standing in the doorway, and now you put down your Bagua map and you generate that room. Then you sit down on your desk, right? And then you feng shui that. And so you just kind of keep bringing it deeper and in and in and in and in.
go from the larger, more global to the more specific, right?
Yeah, yeah, which is really it's kind of almost like what they call fracting, right? And like when you put two mirrors together, you keep looking, and it just goes to infinity. The same thing happens with feng shui when you bring it down, bring it down, bring it down, bring it down, and
Like
that's
the
why bringing it
macrocosm and
complete.
the microcosm,
Yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
when you bring it into that physical body and you really start to understand that, wow. Because everywhere you go, you take your feng shui with you. You
They
know,
do. It's
yeah,
affecting you. Even when you're not home, your feng shui at home is affecting you.
yeah.
And I,
And you
yeah,
start asking yourself when you go to someone else's home, or you go on vacation, or you go, any area that you go to, why do you feel comfortable or why do you feel uncomfortable? It's
yeah,
because the way the energy is or isn't moving in the environment that you're in, right?
definitely. And as you were talking about these comparisons between the car and the body, two thoughts came to me. One of them is that literally, if you go and lie down in the middle of your home with your feet pointing towards the front wall,
Right?
you projected your organs to the corners and the midpoints. That would be the exact location, so like your heart is towards the back that represents fame and reputation, and your bladder is towards the front that represents career. So it's really, really interesting to see this. And the other thought that came to me is I remember a friend that did healing through nutrition.
Uh-huh.
And it was a school that they talked, it was based in the same principles as feng shui. So they thought about there's a realm of your thoughts, there's your mind, there's your heart, and there's your physical body, which is represented by your lower belly. And they said, your body has to be in good shape for you to be happy. And somebody was arguing, and so like, I don't believe that. And he answered him, try being happy if you're having stomach cramps. Right. And so it brought it like, so yeah, you could be a very happy person, but the moment you're having stomach cramps and you're thinking, I have to run to the bathroom, you're not happy, right? And
Exactly.
so like in true healing, you have to follow kind of this method, right? Where you're taking care of the structure that would be the architectural problems, right?
Right.
If there's something that's not working, functioning in the body, you have to take care of that first. And then you have to take care of what the part that's the harmony that is associated with interior design, getting your emotions in the right place is the equivalent for the person. And then you can be empowered. Then you can go and do your work, because in feng shui we believe everybody comes to life with life missions.
Right.
So you have to have the structure in place, you have to have the emotions in place so that you can do what you came to do. And
Right.
that's when you can really,
It's
that's
in,
when your goals became reachable.
right. It's interesting too. Everything that we've spoken about here is in triplicate. It's three, three,
Yes,
three.
yeah,
So there's something about that magic number three, right?
definitely,
Yeah.
yes.
And again,
Maybe with feng shui, we actually talk about there being three levels of existence.
right. Well, and the Bagua map is shaped just like your tic tac toe thing, So you got three across, three in the middle,
Yeah,
and three across. Then you got three and three and three. So again,
yeah,
we go into that, and that's a triangle.
yeah.
So when you look at the power of the triangle, that it's a sacred geometry. There's a
It is.
lot of power in that, right?
Uh-huh. And so in feng shui, we see life as existing in three planes of existence that forms this triangle, right? So one triangle is physical real. One side of the triangle is physical reality. The other side is emotions, and the other side is thoughts and inspiration. And
Right,
so whenever you have a problem in life, you have to address all three. You
right,
have to address the physical aspects, the emotional aspects, and the mind aspects.
right.
And
And,
it's really
and we
interesting.
look at if you want to get into religion type of things, you have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit type of thing, right? You
Yeah.
also have the conscious, the subconscious, and the higher consciousness. You have the three parts of the brain: the mammalian, or the reptilian, the mammalian, and the frontal cortex, right? So again, this three is definitely a key element with
It's
everything
very
that goes on.
powerful, very, very powerful. You find
Yeah,
it in every religion and philosophy in the world. It's
right.
always,
It's
yeah,
always it's always in threes, right?
yeah,
Right. Yeah. And another thing I want to kind of touch on when you're talking about that the feng shui and everything too, working together with that. We look at what's going on in the world today, where we're spending more time in that home environment, and not by choice, so to speak, right?
yeah,
And what is it that is irritating? So for all you guys listening out there, pay attention here. Just you don't even have to know what you're doing. Start moving stuff. Decide, say, okay, kids, today we're going to rearrange the house. And they're going to look at you like, oh, geez, mom. But you know what? Do. Just just start moving. Hey, let's move this here, let's move that there, and whatever. And just make some shuffles. right? And see how you experience. See what happens. You know, if there's more turmoil, well, obviously you're going to rearrange the house again real fast, right? But
Yeah.
you may be pleasantly surprised to where the irritation isn't there. There's not the frustration. It might be calming. It just give it a shot. What do you got to lose, right? You ain't got
Yes.
nothing else to do, right? So you might as well just play with it and just move things. Just say, you know, I always wanted that over there instead of over here. I'm going to do that now, right?
Just moving things is powerful because it releases energy.
Yeah.
But also, if you have been forced to stay home and your home feels to you like a prison, you have bad feng shui.
Yes, definitely bad feng shui.
100% sure. If
Yeah.
you feel like you're trapped, you have bad feng shui.
Yeah. So again, we go back to those senses, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are you feeling? What are you seeing? What are you hearing?
What are you
Right?
smelling?
What are you
right?
smelling? All
It's
of
all
it.
part of feng shui.
It is, and when you really begin to understand the feng shui, it's a game changer. It is a total game changer. And there's a lot of different avenues where you can take that feng shui, like how you're doing it in the environment, how I do it in this shell, this home, right? I had another gal on who did feng shui, and she had a different perspective from it. And then you do a financial feng shui, so you can just zero in, and it gets to be pretty amazing. But you have to start somewhere,
Yes.
right? Right. This has been fascinating, and really, I had no clue what we were going to talk about. That's what I love about this show. People come on, I don't know them, they don't know me, and all of a sudden you just start this conversation, and this whole new world just starts to blossom. And everything that is been being spoken about is all about being that better you, which is the theme of this show. How can I become a better me? Right?
Yeah. The thing is, when you have good feng shui, and it starts with learning to see your home with feng shui eyes, right? Then everything makes sense, and your home can become your ally. Because for a lot of people, their home is their hidden enemy. It's slowing them down, it's keeping them,
Right.
holding them back, right? But when you learn to see your eyes with your home with feng shui eyes, and then you start applying the 9 steps to feng shui system, your home becomes like the place where you recharge your batteries, and it's like your BFF.
Yes, yes. That is so true. That is just so true. I mean, how many people, it's like I want to go back to my home. It's my safe haven. But if
Yeah.
your safe haven feels like your prison, how many people say, "Ugh, and now I got to go home. I don't want to go home. I just hate going home."
There's
What?
an ancient Chinese saying that goes like this: everything in your home is telling you something. Make
Right?
sure they have nice things to say.
Oh, I love that. I just got chills all over my body. Oh my gosh.
Me
You know,
too.
and it's so true because it does impact your whole personality. And where do you spend the majority of your time? Is usually in your home. You spend all your hours sleeping in your home. So I think the first place you maybe should do your feng shui is in your bedroom, right? Oh my gosh, I have been in different people's bedrooms and stuff, and
You've been
when
traveling, right?
oh my gosh, you have this black wall, and you have these real dark furniture, and the shades are all pulled, and I'm thinking, oh wow, okay, let's go see the rest of your house. It because you've learned to become sensitive to your environment, and the things that I teach are be aware. Be aware of everything that's going on around you because it has a message. That's why what you just said really impacted me. Every animal that crosses your path has a message. Every time the weather shifts where you are, there's a message. So there's a message in life with everything if you become aware and conscious of what's out there. Look at nature. If you look at nature where it has not been interfered with or interrupted with the human element, you will see its perfect feng shui. Why do you always feel good when it doesn't matter. You go for a walk, all of a sudden you're out there in nature. Because nature is the first automatic feng shui. It knows how to shift things around. When you juggle it, when the human shifts all this stuff, it knows how to straighten itself out to be in that harmony, as you mentioned, that harmony, right? It's not always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gist of feng shui is to bring that beauty that you find in natural places where you feel nurtured, to create that inside of the home. Because we were not designed to live indoors. We were designed to live in connection with nature,
Right.
but not live in these boxes we call homes, right? So part of creating harmony in the home is to have a good relationship with nature and have constant reminders of thriving nature inside the home. That's the only way to be happy, really, to be healthy and happy.
Yeah, that is so true. Feng shui is when you really start to understand it, and again, right at our fingertips. All we have to do is Google feng shui, but be cautious of what because there's a lot of great information out there, but if you go out and research it,
There's a lot of misinformation on feng
a
shui.
lot,
That's one thing you really can't achieve by Googling. You have to make sure that you connect with a really good source of information. I do
right,
have a website and blog that folks can visit.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
can I
what is your website? Share the website with the audience so that they can at least go and get started with something that they don't have to try to weed through.
I have over 500 free articles on my blog, which is the same as my website.
Awesome.
And it is 9steps2fengshui.com. So 9steps2fengshui.com. And if somebody doesn't know how to spell feng shui, I also own spacearrangement.com. Spacearrangement.com will redirect to 9steps2fengshui.com. Yeah. And so that's a great place to start because you can become acquainted with this system, 9steps2fengshui system, and have all sorts of information. There's a search box on the website where you can search about any topics surrounding feng shui that you're interested in, and start making positive changes in your home.
Oh, you'd be so amazed just by moving one or two things. You don't have to rearrange the whole house to make a difference, just one or two things, And again, take a look at your ceilings, in your corners, especially the corners, right?
Yeah.
If you have the vaulted ceilings, as you said, that but look where things are stale. Why do cobwebs grow in corners? Right? Think about that for a minute. Because there's no movement and they can stay there, right? So build something, put something up there, that's going to create some movement, right? So that the energy doesn't get stale and stagnant, right?
That's preventing stagnation is one of the very important things we do in feng shui. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping that life force moving, right? Or which we call qi in the Chinese language.
Exactly, and that's why we as humans weren't meant to be sitting continuously 24/7 in one position. If you find yourself behind a desk, that's okay. Move, move your legs, shake your legs, get up, walk around, stand. Now they have these desks that are really cool, that you can make them rise so you can stand and get some energy and stuff. Move your neck back and forth around a circle, because
take breaks.
The pressures, oh my gosh. And make sure you got plenty of water here, right? Drink water all day long because it needs that flow, right? If your fluids in your body aren't flowing, nothing in your life is going to flow, right? So just little things that are actually common sense, which has gotten lost, right? And technology is great. I mean, I use it all the time. It's great. But you have to understand, too, sometimes what technology has done, it's removed some of the other things that we've been, having to do. So you have this little thing, right, that you're just sitting on the couch and you're just pushing, making it go where you want it to go. What did we have to do before? We had to get up, walk over, change the channel, push the buttons, make it louder, softer, then go sit back down. Now we're lethargic. We're just there, stagnant, right? So what is it that you're doing in life that keeps you stagnant?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing in your life that keeps you in motion? So I don't, where I'm at in the office that I'm at right now, is there isn't a window to the outside, and it's like, you know, but it forces me to get up, go outside, so in between records, in between a lot of the things that I do, right? It's like, I got 5 minutes. I get up, I go outside, and I just walk up and down the sidewalk a little bit, and then I come back in, and it's
to get that outside air is super important,
yeah.
But there's two things, just because you brought it up, for people who are in that situation where they're in a room with no windows, just bringing in an image of a beautiful garden that could be something like you're looking out the window is going to completely change
Yeah,
the
over here I have this nice little tree in the corner, and I have a nice little plant over here.
Bringing in plants. And another thing that I do that is so helpful in the summer is I have an ionic fan.
Oh, yeah.
It produces those negative ions that after rain, the reason the air feels so good is the negative ions. So that's
right.
one thing that's going in our home in the summer, because I don't have to keep the air conditioning really, really strong when I have the ionic fan on. Like I can keep the house a lot warmer, but it doesn't feel warm because you have those negative ions circulating through the home.
Right.
So a lot of feng shui is bringing that positive energy of nature inside the home.
Right. Right. And again, we go back into that harmony, that balance, right? And a lot of people, they don't have plants in their house, and it's like, how can you have a home that you don't have a plant, a live plant? Because again, it's giving you the oxygen that's necessary, to eliminate the carbon dioxide that you're breathing out, and you don't need obstructions. You don't need obstructions on your face. You don't need obstructions in your home to create that flow, and so that ionic fan is really great. Humidifiers, if you're in areas, humidifiers are great. Just boiling water on the stove,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many things, that when you get used to feng shui, then you don't realize how bad it can get. A person that has had good feng shui for a long time, that just becomes their normal, right?
Right.
It's normal for your home to feel good. And they don't realize how much necessary feng shui is for other people. We're seeing today, and I think it's really interesting to see that bad feng shui transcends money, because today you're seeing all sorts of famous people, celebrities, people who are super rich, doing these live meetings from their homes, right? And you would imagine that a person, before they go live, they look for a good background. And many of these super luxurious homes have really bad feng shui. And so it's not a matter of
that is so funny that you say that. So here she is. She's checking you guys out. Remember, she's checking you out. This is why I have a background. And again, it can be very disruptive, as you said. Not sometimes consciously or unconsciously, So when I have people come on the show, there's times when I ask them to, can you move your computer this way or that way, or and it's like and it's not putting them down. It's that it's what you're portraying. You've got this beautiful story, right? And you've got this beautiful work that you do, yet behind you, what you represent is completely opposite of what's going on. And that's why I kind of started this little business, being in the face of the camera. How to have a professional look in the face of the camera, right? Mm-hmm. To be able to, so that, again, with this Zoom thing, it's great, but when people have to pull up, because they've done recordings, because they're doing summits, so now they got to jump out of Zoom, go to their messy desktop, and then try to locate what they want to do for the next one. It's very unprofessional. It's static. That doesn't have to be. And that's some of the things that I teach, right? It's like, if you have the right platform that you're using and you're automating it, there is software out there that is free that you can use, have everything organized. So you didn't see what I saw when I started my show with the intro, right? And then boom, You'll see it in the, when you watch it, right? You'll see how the intro comes in, and then boom, here we are, and then boom, now we're gone. The outro's going, because there's no messy background. If I want to do a PowerPoint, if I've got a video that I want to show, it's all right here underneath the camera that I'm looking at, right here in front of me. All I got to do is take my little mouse here, right, and move it around to that location, and I'm still looking at you, and then just click on it, and it's right there. You don't lose a beat, and it all runs nice and smooth, right?
Automation is really important, and part of feng shui is really putting certain areas of your life in automation, so that the home works for you. So
Exactly. Yeah, and we were kind of thrown out because of the isolation thing, right? It's like, oh my gosh, hurry up, get it out. But it takes 5 minutes more to put it out there in a professional manner than it does in an unfeng shuied manner. Let's put it that way. So, I think I'm going to incorporate those little words. Let's feng shui your projection to the outworld, right? When you're in the face of the camera, because basically it is. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's been such a delight talking to you about this, and I love feng shui. And if you had just one tip that you could give the audience that could change, that they could do right now today, listen up everybody, you could do right now to create just a little bit of shift in your environment, what would that be?
What would that be? Look at your welcome mat.
Whoa.
And because there's so many times that you bought a beautiful welcome mat and it has become torn and faded and you didn't notice because you step on it every day. And so look at your welcome mat, see if it needs replacing, replace it, at least clean it up, right? Because the energy, the life force comes to your home through your front door. And so if you live in the suburbs, if you have like a mailbox that's on the street, an alternative to doing that is just clean it up, spruce it up. But in a lot of apartments, you have a box somewhere
right
in the first floor, and so, but everybody has a welcome mat or should have a welcome mat. So make sure your welcome mat is happy. And that first impression that you have coming home, when you are going to look down as you put your key in your doorknob, you're going to look down. Make sure the impression you get from your welcome mat is awesome. And if for whatever reason you can't get a welcome mat that is awesome right now, keep it clean. So just cleaning it is going to have a great effect on your feng shui.
Wow, that is great. That is, wow. I'm looking, I'm thinking back of all these welcome mats that I've seen on people's. It's like, oh, that one and that one is like, oh my gosh, it's exactly what she said. It's really pretty tattered and worn, and it looks like it should have been, taken out into the trash can, because it's all dirty. Because you wipe your feet on it, right? But at the same time, what you don't realize, until you just mentioned that, so you're standing on it, and now you're getting the energy flowing up from that mat. And if it's dirty or tattered, what are you bringing up into your energy field, into your body before you walk in? And how many times do you stand in front of the doorway on that mat? Now the door's open, and then you stomp your feet, and then you walk in.
So that's the first message. Remember how I was saying that everything in your home is talking to you? That's the first message. That's what we are telling you. The mat is telling you are clean or you are a mess. It's telling you have great taste or I don't know what's going on with you.
Wow.
That welcomes you home or not.
Right. And what are you being welcomed into? So, oh gosh, thank you, Mona. That was just beautiful.
Thank you for inviting me, Beverly.
Oh, it's been a pleasure having you here. We might have to come back and do this again, round 2, right? This is awesome.
There's so much to talk about.
That's right. So everybody here, comment below. Let us know how you enjoyed this. What are you going to start doing different today, right now, besides your welcome mat? What are you going to do? Where did your little mind go? what are you going to start shifting today? It's like, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. But don't just sit there and think about the maybes. Put it into action, right? She's giving you a lot of great information, and you can go back and listen to this again because it's out there on replay. You can do that and share it out there to the world, because it really is a need to get back into that harmony and that balance, and it all starts with you. So it's time to go out there, be that best you that you can be, because Moni and I are going to do the same thing. We are going to be the best we that we can be today, because we have feng shui.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. See you guys on the next show. Bye-bye.